Right, so welcome to the May Design Review Committee meeting. I'm going to call the roll to confirm that our DRC members are present. Maura Davis.
Here.
Robert Dunca, let me know that he will not be on the call tonight, but he gave me notes. Rebecca Meyer.
Here.
And Andy Winchell may be coming in person. Andy, are you on the line? DRC meetings are held in person and streamed simultaneously to allow commissioners, applicants, and the public to attend online. So for members of the board and applicants joining us this evening, if you lose connectivity during today's meeting, feel free to reconnect with us by phone. Applicants, please keep your devices muted and your video turned off until your item is under review. Turn off sound to any other devices around you to minimize interference. The meeting chat is active for participants who need technical assistance and should not be used for questions. Discussion by the Design Review Committee members will be bulleted here after being spoken, or will be posted online after being spoken into the public record. The public may observe the meeting, so participation in the discussion is limited to applicants and members of the HLRB during the meeting. Public comment is welcome at the HLRB meeting. Information about signing up as a speaker or submitting a public comment for that meeting is available on the HLRB website. Finally, this is a public forum. Today's meeting is being recorded and will be posted to the county website. All information associated with today's meeting, whether written or spoken, is subject to the Freedom of Information Act requirements. Okay, so our first item is the return of a sign at 2910 Columbia Pike. Okay, so we've seen this sign a few times. The applicant was recommended some design suggestions based on the previous sign that had been there and adapted this sign. Mr. Khan, are you on the line with us?
Yeah. Yes.
Great. Do you have any comments before the DRC discusses?
No, I mean, like, I followed every comment that was made. I even changed the font to be exactly how it was when it was Arlington Hardware and when it was P. Brennan Irish Pub to match the exact font. And I made the sign as big as possible. So basically, now it's literally a duplicate of what the current sign is.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners?
This is Omar Davis. Thank you, Mr. Khan, for your review and our revision of the signage. I think it definitely improvement, and also speaks to what the HLRB and our DRC was recommending. So I think I'm generally in favor of it. I guess the only question I would have, more question than anything else is the height of the lettering the same as P. Brennan's, or is it a little bit taller? And I only ask because it appears that the N in kitchen may be almost conflicting with the sill of the window, and that may just be sort of an optical illusion.
Yes, the sign will not go above the window. It will be below the window because we cannot cover the window.
Okay.
Yeah, so the sign will be below the window, sir. It will not be in front of the window because that's not going to pass the inspection and stuff. So the company who's putting the sign, they've been in business for over 35 years. So they know exactly what guidelines to follow. And I know with my experience, we cannot cover the window. So the sign will be below the window, sir.
Okay, great. Image here is a little bit, it's covering a little bit, but thanks for that. Yeah, that's my only major comment. I think otherwise, I think I'm generally in favor of it. I guess my 2 cents there.
Yeah, I agree with that. and appreciate your willingness to work with our comments. I think that this definitely picks up on everything that we had noted before about the horizontality of the previous sign and the two parallel lines down below. So I would be in favor of it.
And Mr. Dudka echoed these comments when I spoke to him on the phone. He said that he thought it was in line with everything that had been requested. Okay, so per the motion at the HLRB meeting, the DRC can approve this, and so I could issue a COA if you feel comfortable.
I'd be comfortable with that, yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. So, Mr. Khan, I can stamp these documents for you, and then when the permit comes through for the sign permit, I can approve that from the historic preservation standpoint.
Thank
Can
you so
I-
much, guys.
Oh,
Can I
yeah.
ask one other question? Sorry, this isn't conditional on any approval. I'm just curious. The graphic to the left of 2910,
Yes.
how is that? Like, is there a back plate to it? I'm just wondering if that.
It will be exactly how the channels will be, how the lettering will be. So there is the exact way that the letters will be held will be the exact same way that the graphic will be held. So there is, if I'm not mistaken, there is a plate in the back of each channel that gets installed on the facade. That's how the current sign is too. So the plate will be in the back of that. It's not visible to the eye unless you go behind the sign to take a look at it. But if you're just looking from the front side of it, you'll only be looking at the graphic and all the numbers and the letters.
Got it. That makes sense. I just wasn't sure because the graphic, it wasn't fully connected. So it looked like there was one piece that I wasn't sure if it was going to be white behind it or if there was something to tie
No,
it
you can't.
into.
You won't be able to see it unless you really go behind, get on top of a ladder, and look in the back of it to see how it's getting attached to the facade. But if you just look in like how everybody else is looking from the front, you're only looking at the graphic and the numbers and the letters.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? All right, fabulous. Well, thank you, Mr. Khan. I will email you your stamp plans tomorrow.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you.
And this is item number 2 is the return of a sign also on Columbia Pike 2408. And this has also returned to the DRC after being discussed at the HALRB. The applicant submitted 3 variations of the burgundy after he was asked to submit something a little more muted. Mr. Kataria, are you on the call?
I am.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So these are the 3 that he has submitted. Mr. Kataria, do you have any additional things to say?
No, I mean, yeah, the last meeting they requested to make it darker, so I just sent you guys the 3 dark shades of burgundy, and that's about it.
Next, could we go on to the.
Yeah, of course.
Do you have a preference between the 3?
Oh, sorry, not me. Sorry about that.
Mr. Kataria, do you have a preference?
Yeah, I mean the one we are looking at right now, I guess, looks better.
The darkest.
Right.
Burgundy? Okay.
Yeah, because I think the last time when we had this meeting with the other board, they were saying that the sign looks too bright because it's red. So I guess the darker of the three kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with the darkest one. I think the first one looked really washed out. But among the three, I don't have a strong preference. I think the same comments that were brought up at the last meeting of changing the other colors and I guess sort of working with the painted brick bands all looks good to me. So I'm amendable to the darkest one if that's the preference.
Yeah, I would echo what Rebecca said as well. I think if that's the preference, I could go for that one. I think that for some reason, I don't know why I sort of was taken with the one that was a little more washed out, but that's it. I think that sort of, I don't think it's, I think probably, given maybe it need to be seen, probably makes more sense also to get a little bit darker. Just not so bright, but darker probably does work better. So I'd be amenable to that. And again, thank you for kind of working things. And again, I think that in terms of the I guess like how high the sun falls and then with and everything else, I think that also is in line with our previous comments. So I'd be good with for this darkest version on as well.
Great. And yeah, Mr. Dutka said that it looked much improved, and he particularly really liked the way you aligned figure with the lines that are up there and the newly dark raceway. Yeah, so again, the HLRB voted to allow the DRC to approve the final edit choices on this sign. So based on that, do the commissioners feel comfortable voting to approve the sign as it has been submitted?
I do.
Yeah, I agree.
Great. Okay, so Mr. Kataria, I will stamp your plans and submit them to you tomorrow. Whenever you submit your sign permit, I can sign off for historic preservation.
Sounds good. Perfect. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, on to item number 3 or so. Here we are. Okay, so this is a project for renovation at the rear of the Hermitage. It's a non-historic addition, 1985, and this is a rehabilitation to mostly the top floor, which would include on the exterior at least. There's some changes to the interior, but the things that interest us are the replacement of all the windows, or again, non-historic windows, then addition of 3 windows with the movement of like a master bathroom. The addition of a new skylight in addition to replacing an existing skylight, and then adding 1 foot to the roof line. So that would be here. So raising the roof 1 foot. And so that roof line would be a bit higher. So I apologize for not knowing how to say your name.
Marquard.
Okay. Submitted these specs for the windows. And the drawings. Mr. Marquardt, do you have any additional comments?
No, I thought I put out as much as I could to be sort of to clarify our intent. And given the house, before I even realized it was on the historic list down there, it's absolutely my bailiwick to behave properly with the houses like this, and that's what we're trying to do. We have very limited work on the outside other than raising that portion of the roof because the 1980 something addition made the headroom almost intolerable inside under that shed. So that's a really low, just that bottom eave is what we plan on raising and adding a window to the closet that's in there. And so whatever work is necessary for the siding, just to allow us to do that work, is all that we are proposing doing. And from the get-go, it's intended to match what is there, and leave no trace, so to speak.
Great. Okay, so Laurie, Rebecca, any comments?
To reiterate on the three additional windows, one you saw there, the small square one for the closet. And if you go back to the cover sheet, there you go. On the right-hand top perspective, correct, you can see the small square, correct. And the far left of that same right drawing in the bathroom, well, there's that one, which they requested, correct, I apologize, I forgot. So there's actually 4 windows. Oops, sorry. They requested a window by the rocking chair in the bedroom. You can see as an egress. It's not necessary as egress legally per se, but they just felt that they're so far up on that, and getting to the ground floor from that room is fairly circuitous down through the old house. So they wanted we had a window there, and then the 2 windows in the bathroom. One is replacement for an existing shower window, and the other is a small window in the toilet room. That's all. And they are completely out of sight. I mean, they're way up a little, I'll say, alleyway of the other shed roof.
I will agree that this house is actually quite hard to see from the street, even the front of it.
I even to see these windows, I think you'd have to be standing on the roof of the right-hand wing if you look at the photograph.
Okay.
No, okay.
Yeah, that was gonna be my first question, I guess. Could you see the arrays of that shed roof from the street? But apparently not.
No, from the street, not at all. And I think you're down in the woods, and actually it goes down towards the parkway before you have any kind of visibility. And that's the same thing with the skylights. Is there, some point I think from their driveway you may be able to see if you had I think I included a street view on one of my photograph submittals. You can see let's see, where we go.
Well, I can pull up some photos.
Yeah, regardless, just to point out, we're really not adding or changing what they have. There's already the view of the roof of this particular room, and it includes the skylight that's already there, skylights for another room, and the typical vent you would expect for a bathroom. And so we're relocating one of the vents, and we're adding a couple of exhaust vents. I'm sorry, one exhaust vent for the shower.
Right, to the roof. So there would be some changes to the roof in addition to that.
Some changes way back there at the bathroom, which again is virtually invisible unless you're on the adjacent roof. To have an exhaust fan, which would be very low profile, and the typical vent stack protrusion. One of which is there. We'll move it over a little bit because of the reconfiguration of the shower, but no, we're not intending to do anything dramatic.
Thanks.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And the windows are being placed materially in kind or
Yeah, I apologize to talk over you. And can I answer that?
Of course.
Okay, the windows in the bathroom and the shower and the toilet room are Anderson's, and of course in their Fibrex exterior, but there's a window type. The owner wants a stained glass in there, and given that one of the rooms is a shower, we're looking for a waterproof version of that. And the only thing I could find that is the art glass series that Anderson provides, which puts the art glass in between the glass panels. There are some surface applique companies that do things that probably work fairly well, but they are basically caulked on. And I'm just a little bit leery of that. I know they probably do an excellent job, but nonetheless, that's why we selected those windows for the shower and then the matching toilet room.
So
But
you're
the
saying
others,
the existing windows are Fibrex and they would be replaced with vinyl? Yes?
no, not vinyl. The Fibrex, this window would be Anderson's typical exterior, which they call Fibrex. It's a composite. But it's a deep brown, so there's no difference visually from anything.
So what is the current material of the windows that are in the bathroom?
There is one long window that's about 8 inches tall and 4 feet wide over a long tub. That is, to be honest, I don't know. I'm assuming it's, I could never get up there. I'm assuming it's aluminum casing like the other ones.
Okay, so the majority of the windows in the addition are aluminium clad.
Yes, they were probably early versions of those, given that this edition, I believe, was done in 1985. But they are not an old wooden window.
So you are applying to replace all the aluminium clad windows with composite?
No, I'm sorry. I'm trying to go window by window. In the toilet room.
Okay, in the bathroom.
We're those two. The rest of the windows we're working with Weather Shield that makes a wood interior and then the aluminum clad exterior window for the large arch top and for the casements below, and for the new casement I don't have on the elevation, but it's on the plan.
Okay.
So the intent really is to match. We want to walk away and not see any difference.
Okay.
So I know that the Mr. Dudka, the only comment he had was that he thought that raising the roof would actually be an improvement on the proportions. Because
Thank you. I agree.
Right next to the roof line, and so it would actually give a little more space to that and make it seem more proportional.
Yeah, it's an unintended consequence, but I would 100% agree.
Just so close there.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're mistaking. We're not raising that roof.
This roof line? Okay.
To the left, there's a small white bar there. It's right there.
Oh,
That's the only piece we're raising.
Oh, okay. So what will the slope of the roof be? Or will the slope be the same?
No, well, it can't be the same. We're running from the existing ridge, and again, there are photographs there, and coming down the foot. It changes probably less than it's a 0.1% kind of measurement. We're well within any kind of necessary drainage.
So from the right of way, the ridge line will remain the same, and it is only that the where the roof terminates, that will be 1 foot higher.
Correct.
Okay.
So we're going to start from the existing ridge. There will be no difference from the front of the house. And
to increase.
You'd have to go to the S100 for the roof plans.
Yeah, I think I'm generally in favor. I pretty much we're replacing windows materially in kind for the most part.
Correct.
So, and also there's no real change from the public right of way, and I mean the addition on the back, they seem definitely like they all sort of make sense proportionally and everything else. So I'm in general amenable to the plans here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would agree with everything that's been said.
Thank you. Yeah, we tried very hard. It's like I said, this is my preferred style of historic architecture, and even current design, just as much as we can these days. But and from a tenure, I used to chair the planning commission in my town, and our point was always to try to keep context as appropriate as possible.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you feel about which agenda this?
I recommend this for the consent. If anyone wants to take it off, they can take it off. But
Rebecca, do you agree?
Yes, I would also say the consent agenda.
Thank you.
Okay, so that means that the commission will vote on this project first on the main commission, like during the meeting. And if there are any other consent agenda items, they will vote for those en bloc. As anyone can pull this item from the consent agenda. So until that time, any members of the public or the commissioners can pull it. And so the commission would discuss it. So we do recommend that you come to the meeting.
Okay.
We will have that vote first thing. And if not, we will just discuss your project and take a vote at the end of that discussion. But
Okay.
otherwise, we're on the consent agenda for the May 17th meeting starting at 6:30.
I apologize, May 17?
Yeah, so 2 weeks from today, third Wednesday of the month. And I will send you a follow-up meeting with the link.
Wonderful, thank you.
Welcome.
Terrific, terrific.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, and thank you for your care of all this. Appreciate it.
Okay, so now we are at the fourth item, which is the review of the Colonial Village windows. We only have one commissioner in the room to look at your windows today, but Mr. Dunn can review them online, the specs online, and I'll keep them so that anyone else can come and view them if they'd like to. So Colonial Village is a local historic district with a number of garden apartments. They have come to us twice for updates to their window replacement guidelines because this is the major change that they see. In 2015, they had these guidelines approved, which included this criteria by which staff could approve the windows. If applicants wanted different windows from the ones outlined here, they could come forward for full COA, but for an ACOA, this is what they came for. So we're seeing they should be made out of polyvinyl chloride, but also they were encouraging wooden windows if applicants were interested. None have ever applied for here they do outline color. This is all obviously developed with Colonial Village, and then information about it being a complete frame, the dimensions. These are between, because they're not specifying what, they are allowing any number of windows that fulfill these criteria to be feasible. We also cannot approve these without the board having the county village, Colonial Village board having signed off on them. So staff only approves. We received a letter from their board saying that they approve this replacement. They have to have the same number of lights. There's information about the width of the stiles, the muntins, and if there's filled bathrooms, and then the capping. We have included in the guidelines, there are these two drawing images, which I would note were pulled directly from the paradigm windows that have been being used for the last 8 years. And so if anyone's like, oh, those look just like the paradigm, it's because apparently someone cribbed them from there. So those are what is included in the guidelines right now. The window that they have been using, which is the paradigm hybrid, has been discontinued. And so now the all the different owners at Colonial Village are faced with having to make choices about new windows when they apply for replacement. And so in order to streamline this process and make sure that the windows are something that the commission would approve of, the applicants brought in 4 sets of windows and a secret set, for thinking about to look at. They've submitted the specs as well, which are attached to this packet, with information about the width of the stiles, the jams, you have the table. I forgot what it's like when we have human beings. And all of these would fulfill the criteria listed above, except in some cases, the dimensions of the rails are slightly thicker than expected. And so we wanted to review how everyone felt about these. These samples are not exactly what would be installed because some of those selections are different. Some of them don't have screens, some of them do not have the 3-dimensional grids on the outside, but we do require that. But however, this is a fairly accurate representation of how thick stiles would be, or the rails would be. Would you like to?
Well, no, that's a good, very good summary. So we have a number of owners who are ready to replace windows, as well as the boards who want to replace the windows in the common areas, you know, laundry rooms, trash rooms. And we all got stuck with the company not providing the windows back in last May and June. So one of the owners had applied for a Paradigm double hung. So Paradigm still has a double hung and a single. They just don't have the hybrid. Not to get into the detail, but the hybrid could act as a double hung. There's little bars on the side in the track that can be unscrewed, top sash comes down. A lot of people don't do that. But the original windows of Colonial Village before the conversion to condominiums in the 80s, windows double hung. So
But none of those are extant right now.
correct.
Okay, so they're all replacement windows.
They were, yeah, at the conversion, they were all replaced with aluminum windows, which obviously have a much wider width in terms of the glass, the light that comes. So we did have one owner had the Paradigm double hung window installed, and there is a sample, if I can just show you real quick. Again, from what we've been told, this is representative of width. And obviously this can be varying widths as well, the grid. But obviously being a smaller profile altogether, light looks a little bit more compact. Right. So one of the things that we've been looking at is what is the width? So according to the hybrid, it was just under 3 inches. Well, there's a limited number of vinyl windows available. And so we also have, just to finish my thought on this, we have one of these installed. And it's sort of an experiment, so to speak. So I took a couple of pictures, sorry. Not everybody can
I can
see.
submit these to the.
Okay. That's the bathroom window, and I think that's kind of hard to see, but from a distance, one of the things that Serena and I were looking at, when you stand back 50 feet
Yeah,
and you look at the overall profile,
yeah,
doesn't matter really that there's an additional track for the screen. You know, there's a little profile change, which is this guy here.
okay, yeah, right.
It's not as flat, say, as this fiberglass.
Yeah, right.
A little bit different. This is a little more similar. The closest is the Paradigm single. So this is more like what the hybrid looked like.
Yes.
But another difference being with the single home, the screen, they're all supposed to have half screen, is recessed. And you can try to prop it on the outside. We tried to fiddle with this for like 5 minutes. It keeps falling out. So if the wind blows, even if we got people to install it on the outer side, so it's a flush appearance,
Yeah.
it's not going to.
And there are currently, all the other windows that have been replacement windows have the screen flush with the final, the outside line, and so that would be a change to. Yes. hundreds of-
More like this. So we have, so the board of directors, I had 6 samples set up. These are 5 of them. These are the 4 that the 2 boards looked at them. They said, let's submit these and see what the DRC thinks. So the sunrise to me also has a little bit, I brought my tape measure here. Also has a little bit wider width. I think the aluminum cladding, the brick, and the aluminum cladding comes up with the start here. So I'm measuring this width here on these windows.
What's double hung? What's double hung width on the Paradigm? 3.
think that's the widest, right?
The widest.
It was like 3.5.
What did I say? What did I just? The hybrid was 278, right? And then that.
Right. So the Paradigm double, and assuming that we're measuring here, not the little groove that this model has,
Yeah.
but this is, if this is the edge that would be visible from the outside, it's 3.5.
Oh, yeah.
So lo and behold, we have others that are in that range. Ford did not select this, one of the four, but I don't know if it's because of the exterior. These are the four, and if you just want to take a look, you're welcome to measure. I think when you stand back from the buildings at a distance, mostly people are going to see a white framed window. But one of the differences could be appearance of the individual lights. Of course, they're going to have grids on top and bottom sash. So backing out a little bit for in terms of materials, the only thing that's been improved in the past, there's one owner that had an aluminum clad timber line window approved back in 2006. I had to come across recently. Other than that, the vinyl Paradigm hybrid has been the only thing that people had a choice of other than the window, which are vastly more expensive. And they're all custom. Housing was built. Right.
But obviously, in 2015, the language was written when before fiberglass and the clad ones had gotten to be as good as they are. And so the question is, I have not done studies on the longevity of vinyl versus fiberglass. By continuing to propose fiberglass as the de facto material, are we encouraging people to install windows that will age faster than fiberglass? Like, why did we? I don't know why we kept fiberglass or clad outside of the conversation.
Fiberglass is definitely longer lasting compared to the vinyl. Paradigm is very good high-end, medium quality. Marvin, just fiberglass, you can pay more, but it's more, it lasts longer generally.
And one of the other considerations is pricing. Like to be
Yeah.
able to boards, whether we like price points different.
This was the only fiberglass that you looked at. Was that because you were focusing on vinyl, or is it because you're not finding fiberglass to fulfill this criteria?
There are other fiberglass windows out there, Jeld-Wen. Obviously, there's some of the bigger manufacturers, Anderson, some of these others, but the exterior framing, the thickness of them. I didn't get a complete blanket of everything that's possible. But a couple of these were brought forward. This one and the one we're not, the one that's on the floor, were brought forward by individual owners who suggested, you know, I've got a contractor, this is the window. And of course, the installers and salespeople typically will say, oh yeah, this will match the specs. So that's often the challenge. So, you know, as you were saying before, anybody can bring forward a window, go through the process for approval. If it's something outside of maybe whatever is approved tonight. Okay.
But we do have about, I mean, in big years, we have up to 8 people, 8, 12 people apply for windows. So that's about, and the ATOA process was developed, so they didn't
Yeah.
have to do this. So they can just email me, in fact, to the installer emails. And I get it back to them today.
It's been a wonderful process for 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were really fast.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
At the same time, I don't want to channel you into a process that leaves you with a product that is not the best thing for your applicants at the end of the day. Like, why didn't we just reconsider clad? I haven't even looked at the activity of aluminium clad. A lot of people love those. That's what we're seeing, even more than fiberglass. In high-end construction, we're seeing clad rather than wood. But it's neither here nor there, because these cannot be fixed. That's it. And I don't know that fiberglass or clad can either. Wood can, but these are single-use windows. Just why they were replaced in 85 or 90 or 2005, we're seeing replacements.
So that's kind of the sum of it, is to And the boards are very interested, of course, in maintaining the exterior integrity appearance of the buildings, but with the changing of materials and changing of design to accommodate. You know, in my mind, my 2 cents would be the original windows were all wood back before the 1980s,
Right.
and they were double hung. So double hung should be okay with any replacement. The change could be fiberglass be okay. In addition to vinyl, that might be more change the specs. Then what is the maximum style and rail widths that are acceptable? Without going to an extreme where you have one that's 3.5 inch width window here and their neighbor over here is the Paradigm hybrid that's been discontinued and visually be impacted maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
At the same time, you and I looked at the facades of those photos. There was one where we looked and there were the original 1985 windows and paradigm replacement windows and the third, the new kind. And so, and from 50 feet away, you cannot tell. So.
With shadows and true, you know, the time of day that you're looking, all these things, and they, in fact, they're all recessed. Brick is out here.
And it's the capping that really was the difference. And we don't oversee that, but we were seeing. The aluminum capping was of different widths, and that actually changed what it looked like more than the actual windows. However, I do think that the inset screen is problematic. I think that's going to be visible. So I think the single hung, that
Even though it's Paradigm, I think the single hung
Yeah.
is.
I would imagine that would be very popular once it's for people to buy anyway, because it's single hung. Probably would get a lot of,
Most people would know.
yeah.
The associations are no longer heating exterior windows. Unbelievable coordinating. Everybody make sure window be at home so you can check the paper. Take screens out so they can watch the windows. Sorry, I had a meeting, I couldn't be there. And come back next week.
So this has an entire track where you can move this up so it can, the single screen connect with the top and bottom section. And can you pop the stuff out from inside the window? Like if you wanted to clean.
I believe that's the
this.
intent. Should be able to.
Yeah.
And for people like. It's a very scenic community, a lot of trees, you know, everything around us is going, saying this. Everything around them is going vertical, as you all know.
And there's no central air.
Oh, no,
no.
everybody has individual.
Oh.
So the way that they designed it was everybody be responsible for their own windows, everybody be responsible for their own systems. It's a lot to.
I think
Yeah.
The pane,
Yeah.
panes and the double hung, I think, are on the right size, right? The grid windows.
That width of those.
Yeah.
That.
I mean, obviously, we're the colonial village generally has 6/6s, except for, is this the size of the bathroom? What?
It's similar.
It looks like,
Yeah,
It's
the
like
other
a
bathroom windows are actually, if they're in a corner between adjacent buildings, some of them look like
Pretty
they're last foot.
yeah, it looks like a bathroom.
But the grids have to be, I think those are 4.
Yeah.
But for the most part, as the picture I showed you, you know, they're 6/6.
So rewriting the guidelines would be a process, but
Right.
like identifying at least now which windows fill it, you know, that can be done within the guidelines. At the same time, if we do want, or if you want me to start doing some research into fiberglass and the longevity and clad windows and what those options are, then maybe we do that so that you guys can keep having a conversation in case your residents come forward and say,
I mean, other than fiber, I mean, there's the other gentleman, Fibrix, what do they call it? That's another.
that's what, yeah, I think fiber.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that even looks like, I presume it can also be presented. So, I mean, to me,
Yeah.
materials are.
Right, yeah. Right, makes sense. It hits sort of more the profile and kind of the, really, I mean, closer you kind of get to that, man, or like whoever's for the standard. You're self by.
What kind of windows are you seeing?
Mostly commercials. Those kind of, yeah. Like, no. It's like, there's no.
So the board's asked that, you know, these four be brought forward. I did bring a fifth just for comparison. For the residents. Other than our. But,
I think if you leave these four with me,
okay,
and then unless you need them.
I say they.
Okay. I mean, I can get them to you,
No, no.
present, and I probably won't. Start to build a house.
We'll see your windows installed on
Yeah.
that.
Exactly. Look, they go back doors, like-
Chuck's a good salesman, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
And that way the rest of our staff can see them and then the commission can see them and then. Yeah, as they.
How does the Marvin one stack up as far as dimensions? I know that was, of course, Marvin's fiberglass, but is there anything else on that?
I think it has one of the narrowest, I think
Yeah,
it's the
that's
only.
a nice, that's a nice simple design, actually.
I think it's the only one that fills that style.
It's a nice,
Yeah, it is very simple there. It's
like that.
plain,
Simple,
flat. Yeah.
What's the turnaround?
And it looks like this track goes all the way up and down, so you might be able to have.
That's where
the
the
degrees.
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't understand why, like, all this extra jump, what is it? It just looks like more lines, just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dirt.
I think so. I like, just personally, I like art.
Yeah, I do too, yeah. All this sort of tapping over.
So unfortunately, not unfortunately, the county cannot endorse a single company. Because that would be
Yeah.
making preferential decisions. And that's why the guidelines just kind of create, they are guidelines. And so anything that fulfills those guidelines is possible. So that is certainly something that as the HOA, as the board, you guys can recommend or even require it.
So it
Price
does.
wise, it'll be probably double.
Oh, really? The paradigm?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Everything's.
I paid about 7,500, but I think, or
These windows you have.
I think it was under 14.
The 75, when was it? 75?
wow.
It's $500 a window?
That's what I said.
Yeah,
That's what I heard.
Art Dunn did that.
I mean, we were seeing 4,000, like during COVID, we were seeing $4,000 per window. What wouldn't, but still.
Yes, I don't know.
And that was the problem of it. So that owners wanted more efficiency, half the units were rented. People, it's
Right.
2 metro stops close by, walking to Ross,
Yeah.
walking, you know.
Location can
convenient
be,
location.
yeah.
So they hold on to them
Yeah.
at 63% of units. So, and then people complain about, you know, the installation aspect, when blows through,
Right,
all those
yeah.
types of things.
Right.
But when they were faced with spending $1,000 a window, even back then, they, you know, never. They don't realize it. It's just sort of like, yes,
And 11 windows total, so 79.
We cannot make judgments based on cost. That is outside of the purview of the commission. They can only make decisions based on, of appropriateness based on preservation principles that we have, which are generally the Secretary of Interior standards, and in this case are the design guidelines. So again, that is something that you can provide to your residents, but it's not something.
oh yeah, but we wouldn't do that either, so it's up to.
Okay, well, I think this has
The
been a
process would
fruitful.
be then, you want to show the staff or other members, and you get a
Yeah.
chance to see them firsthand and back to us.
Yes, you haven't applied for a COA, so this would just be an ongoing conversation. For right now,
Okay.
I'm hearing that there are some windows that fulfill the criteria that you would be okay with your applicant submitting to us and that the board would consider for approval.
And then there might be some options as opposed
Okay. Great, wonderful.
to
Well,
options and less.
Yeah.
so do you want to move the floor with me and then take the fiberglass with you? That's not
Okay.
outside of what you're considering.
I was not instructed to include this. And you can see the width there as well. Similar to this, maybe a little bit, and similar to the one.
The first, I mean, these two, they look pretty.
A little bit more of a. Yeah.
A little bit different.
When you think about 2 7/8, 3
Yeah, especially from good back.
Here, you just have a bit more of a,
Yeah.
on here.
Obviously,
But when we looked at it in person, you don't notice this as much.
we don't notice this sort of all of
This is right here. And that, I was talking about that in person.
Yeah.
Quick being out here, casting no shadow, it being all white. And we took a lot of time.
No, this is great. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, I'm going, because it's interesting that once we use improved technologies,
Yeah.
that we were, in 2015, we were looking at a style of 2 7/8, but now we're only seeing windows that are 3.5. Why is this?
Yeah, that,
Why are we seeing less fenestration, less actual glazing, what's going on?
Part of the, what I've heard is the vinyl is structurally not as strong. Fiber. So there might be more material required to provide the strength of the sashes in operation.
But why is the vinyl today not as strong as it was in 2015 when 2 7/8 was feasible? We weren't looking at fiberglass then.
Well, the only thing I know is the county approved hybrid window for another property. And that's, when I learned that,
mhm.
I went and found out who installed it. He brought me a sample and was nice enough to come and meet with DRC, present it, answer questions. And there we went.
About the vinyls, there's a difference. Manufacturer. Paradigms, I think. Scale, but there's a difference. Some windows are just better quality vinyl. Manufacturer. A lot of
I can email
factors.
this to you.
And Rebecca, we have entirely left you out of the conversation. Apologies. Did you have any recommendations based on the specs that you saw?
No worries. No comments right now.
Right.
So ideally, once a decision by the DRC is made of 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, then it'd be great to have it the same way that hybrid was, that DRC, I'm sorry, the staff can approve. It'll be, specifications will be such that they'll fall within those.
Yeah.
And someone wants one of those. they can come.
Yeah, any of
It's
those.
a quick turnaround. They can roll selected.
Have a selection.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you so
Thank
much.
you, guys. Sorry to take up so much time.
Thank you.
They're all experts now.
I know. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
So quickly on to our 5th item, and I think I'm representing, unless Mr. Ebert, are you on the line? Okay, so this is the return of an application for some security cameras at the back of Cambridge Court. So sorry, these were approved December of last year. And the installer actually installed them in a few different locations. So let me pull up what was approved. So this is what was submitted. This was what was stamped. And you can see there's the license plate cameras and antennas, and then some video recorders. And then instead, this is what ended up being installed. It's a little bit more streamlined, fewer objects, but they had to come back for COA amendment because we like to keep records of everything. So are there any questions about the changes?
So overall, there are less, I guess, items. In total.
Yes.
Yeah, in terms of,
Yeah.
they're all streamlined more in like the location before they were supposed to be on like.
Yeah.
some of the locations changed a little bit based on the photographs they submitted, which is why.
Oh, okay.
Limited, but they
Right.
jumbled.
And I will say driving.
Okay. Oh, still, sort of the backside of things as well. I mean, it's
Yes.
still publication. But
Yeah, and there's a service road that separates it from Route 50, so it's quite far from the right of way that most people use.
Right.
But this is the service road is the facade for the building. That's really quite.
Yeah, I think the fact that there's sort of less jumble stuff around and we even looked at, or it looks pretty, like it's pretty consistent kind of sort of a rhythm too. I have no exception to it.
Great. Rebecca?
I also have no issues with this. I think it is all logical.
So which agenda feels?
I do have one question. What's
Yeah.
the sort of triangle to the top right? Is that something anything or is that just like a typo?
Oh, it moved.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's definitely not part of their
Okay,
plans.
all right.
There's
Yeah.
nothing over there
Okay.
that I know of.
So
Okay, well,
I guess the screen is having
I'll strike that.
A minute.
comment then.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
no,
because there
just
it's, yeah.
appearing and now expanding.
It was
I
kind
have no idea what that
it's
is.
kind of red too, so I was like,
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It disappears.
yeah, okay.
Okay, so agenda.
This can be on consent.
All right, 2 consent agenda items so far. And moving on to our final item, which is the rehabilitation of section 3 of the Barcroft Apartments. And so I believe Cynthia and Lauren are on the line for this.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, thank you, Serena. I want to just introduce one member of the applicant team. We have Lauren Riley, who is the counsel representing the current new owner of the Barcroft complex, Jair Lynch Real Estate Partners. And I think, Lauren, you are going to give a brief introduction this evening to kind of set the stage, and then we will help guide the conversation tonight. Thank you so much, all of you who've joined the call and for your patience.
Yes, thank you, Cynthia. Thanks, Serena. I'm going to hand it over first. We have a 3-part presentation. I'll hand it first to David with Jair Lynch, and then I'll give a brief overview, and the architect will go into a little bit more detail before we get into the discussion on the proposal. So David, you want to take it away?
Sure. Thank you, Lauren. And thank you for having us this evening. I think the presentation will get up. There it is. So yeah, we're here tonight to talk to you about really our first renovation phase at Barcroft. And before we get into that, I wanted to step back and just, this is the first time coming to you all. First, probably several times over the course of this large project. Wanted to give just a brief intro on, who we are, what, the property, and then before we get into the specific section that we're here to talk about tonight. So again, I'm David Hildy with Jair Lynch Real Estate Partners. I'm also here as a couple of my teammates, Greg Ward and Alice Hageman. We bought the property, our company bought the property back in end of 2021. And this was really a very significant deal. There was 1,334 units that were marketed, that were at the risk of becoming market rate. We partnered with the county and Amazon to purchase this property, supported by loans from the county and Amazon. And as part of that, committed to preserve the 1,334 apartment homes as affordable housing up to 60% AMI for 99 years. And as part of that, part of our deal, we closed at the end of December 21. We've been spending time since then really understanding our property, understanding the residents, and working towards a master financing and development plan to submit to the county and Amazon. And we submitted that in October of 2022. Again, an initial kind of vision for the site and how we would go about doing all the restructuring of the financing into affordable housing. So we've been working closely with the county staff on the big Barcroft, the large vision, the redevelopment vision, and some of the broader site-wide goals. We expect that to start a community outreach process later this summer, with the board considering at the end of this year. But in the interim, we wanted to we want to start delivering on the promises to the residents of providing them renovated homes, upgraded kitchens, upgraded baths, washer and dryer and units. That gets a lot of excitement out there. And so we've identified a initial renovation phase that is in an area in the neighborhood's form-based code that is designated as conservation area, not redevelopment. And so we've submitted a use permit earlier, I guess now we're in May, back in April, to renovate 93 units along South 4 Mile Run Drive and South George Mason Drive. And so, we're going to be we're excited to work with you on big, broader Barcroft as that plan goes forward. And thank you again for having us here to just talk about an initial renovation we want to move forward ahead of the broader MFDP, again, to get the renovation started and start delivering on the promises to our residents. So I'll turn it over to Lauren.
Thanks, David. Go to the next slide. So good evening, everyone. As Cynthia mentioned, I'm Lauren Riley with Walsh Colucci. We're land use counsel for Gyre Lynch as it relates to this application. And as David mentioned, while that master financing development plan is going forward for that broader vision of the development of Barcroft, they want to go ahead and get started in providing some of those upgraded living amenities to their current residents. So that's why we're here before you tonight. We've submitted a form-based code use permit to county staff for some landscape upgrades, renovations of the existing buildings, as well as a few additions to the existing buildings. And this application scope does require review by the HALRB. So that's why we're coming before you. And we'd like to get just here tonight to introduce the project and discuss those additions and renovations. In terms of timing, really quick, we do anticipate going before the HALRB in 2 weeks on May 17th. And then again, working with you and the HALRB in June ahead of our anticipated July county board hearing on the use permit. And so here, what you're looking at now is a map of Columbia Pike showing you where the neighborhood's form-based code area is and the commercial form-based code, how those intersect along the pike. You can see the Barcroft site there. It's outlined in blue. Some of it's within the commercial neighborhoods code, but most of it is within the neighborhoods form-based code. Next slide. And then zooming into that neighborhoods form-based code area, as you can see, this is the neighborhoods form-based code plan. And so there are some pockets here of anticipated redevelopment on the site, but much of it is within a conservation area. And when the form-based code was adopted, I think just about a decade ago, we're coming up on our 10th anniversary of the form-based code. There are a couple areas that the county wanted to preserve and also use to incentivize affordable housing. One of those was Barcroft, and the other is Fillmore Gardens. So they created these conservation areas that are intended to preserve historic areas on Columbia Pike, as well as incentivize more affordable housing units by giving additional density in exchange for projects that are preserving historic features and traditional design elements. So while other parts of the Barcroft site are recommended for redevelopment, this scope for this project is very limited. It's just those 5 buildings there at the corner of South 4 Mile Run and George Mason Drive in an area that's not anticipated for redevelopment. And then, can we go back? Oh, I thought we had one more. Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Alice. Just to give you a little bit of history about Barcroft and why it's designated as a conservation area. So this site is historically significant because those existing 59 garden-style apartment buildings and the associated structures were all constructed in the 1940s and 1950s, both during and after World War II, in order to relieve housing shortages in the region. These existing apartment buildings today are good examples of mid-20th century garden apartment design that's a little more simplified colonial revival style. And the site itself was constructed in 2 phases. That first phase came in the early 1940s, and it had some notable features like brick walls, slate roofs, and ornamented entry surrounds. The second phase came a little bit later in the late 1940s and early 50s. It had a slightly modified garden apartment style with larger parking areas, reduced landscape courtyards, asphalt roofs, and more simplified entry surrounds. Can you go to the next slide? And then here's a map that kind of visualizes the history of the Barcroft site. You can see the two phases there outlined in blue and in red, and then each building is then color-coded according to when it was constructed. You can see our site there circled in red is part of Section 3 that was constructed in 1943 and 1944. And then I'll note that our project area is limited to just that part of Section 3 that is north or page left of South George Mason Drive. It does not include those other 3 buildings there on the other side of the street. Next slide. And here's an aerial overview of the site. You can start to see the differences in construction between phase 1 and phase 2 with how those buildings are laid out in the open space. And then getting on the right-hand side, you can see our site there outlined in red. It includes those 5 existing buildings there, buildings 22 through 26 of Section 3. Next slide. And then I thought I'd show a few existing photos of the site today. These are some photos of buildings 22 and 23. They're a little farther north. They're set back off of South George Mason Drive. And next slide. These are existing photos of buildings 24 and 25. They're right there at the corner of South 4 Mile Run and George Mason Drive. And here you can start to see that there's quite a lot of topography across the site. Next slide. And then lastly, this is building 26, which is just further east up the road on South George Mason Drive. Next slide. And then with our form-based code use permit requests itself, we're proposing three things: to provide some additional landscaping, to renovate the existing buildings, and then to construct additions to 3 of those 5 buildings. So today, these 5 buildings contain 93 units, and going forward, like David mentioned, all these units will be committed affordable housing units. And the applicant will be able to convert some of those existing 2-bedroom units on the site into 3 and 4-bedroom units with these additions. We were actually encouraged by county staff to propose these additions because currently there's only 1 and 2-bedroom units on the site, and through the additions, we're able to bring some more family-size units that are affordable to this area. And then, as I mentioned, you can see in green there, we'll be adding a little landscaped courtyard there behind building 22 that'll provide some additional gathering space for the residents. Next slide. And then here's an overall summary of our requests. As I mentioned, we filed that form-based code use permit to allow the landscape updates, the building renovations, and the proposed additions. This application, those elements of the application require review by the HALRB. And then we will also need some modifications to the form-based code use permit regulations to allow the existing parking, setbacks, lot coverage, et cetera, of those existing buildings to remain as is, including their footprint with the new additions. And then you can see there at the bottom, we were also requesting a few modifications of the form-based code conservation area standards. Now, the first 2 there, though, the vinyl basement windows and the new building openings, those are to accommodate the upgrade of existing heating and air systems. We currently have aging PTAC and boiler units that will be replacing with more current systems that require new routing and new openings, and those will all be on the rear elevations. And then the vinyl window basements, we're proposing to keep in it with the existing windows on the buildings that have already been replaced by the previous owners. Then those last 2 modifications there, we've highlighted those because they're required by Virginia Housing in order to meet standards for affordable housing tax credit financing applications. So Virginia Housing actually requires vinyl cladding of wood trim, and they also require new entryway canopies. Now, Gyre Lynch will apply for an exemption from those requirements when they submit their application to Virginia Housing. However, we are including those two elements in this application just in case those exemptions are denied. And then before I hand it off to Mehrdad to walk you through the proposal in a little more detail, I just want to give an update again on the timing. We'll be back before the HALRB in 2 weeks on May 17th. And then we anticipate coming back to you and the HALRB again in June ahead of our July County Board hearing. So with that, I'll now hand it off to Mehrdad to walk you through the proposal in a little bit more detail. Mehrdad, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So good evening. My name is Mehrdad Fruzan. I'm an architect and team leader from Bonstra and Architects. Thank you, Lauren, for explaining this, the scope. As explained, the project is divided into two scopes of renovations and extensions. The renovation, as we explained, it is the rehabilitation of the buildings 22 to 26, 5 buildings altogether, and which is a portion of the Section 3 actually. And as said, we are upgrading the units, the interior from the interior, but also we are upgrading the mechanical and electrical systems. And as a result, we are going to remove the PTAC units that you can see here on this slide. When we remove the PTAC units, we are going to infill the wall, the exterior wall, and patch it with the salvage bricks or similar bricks, same color, to have the same appearance again. The other thing that we're going to do is to clean repair the exterior masonry walls. We're going to repair the existing slate roofs. We are going to add some small exhaust vents to accommodate new mechanical systems, laundry, and bathrooms. So the vents will not be on the main facade, but they're going to be on the rear facade. So, and then they're going to be with, more or less the size of the bricks, or, double of them, so it's going to be somehow discrete and to be inserted in that, integrated in that facade appearance. The other thing that we can say is about the replacement of all the elements and that are deteriorated, and we're going to replace in kind all the elements like gutters, downspouts, light fixtures, metal railing, and non-original shutters, which are corroded, and also corroded metal lintels. Speaking about the additions or the extensions to the building 24, 25, and 26. As explained, we are adding 18 units altogether. Actually, we are not adding. We are converting the 2 bedrooms into 3 and 4 bedrooms. And it is from the back side of the buildings, these bumps. And they're going to add between 200 to 335 square feet to each unit. So we have to remove a portion of the exterior walls, and of course some restructuring in that area to be able to add these extensions from the exterior. We're going to salvage the roof slates and bricks. We're going to remove very carefully these materials to be able to reuse them again in those areas. And what else we can say about this? Yeah, as I said, the number of units to be converted to 3 and 4 bedrooms is 18. we're gonna create, I mean, the addition, as I said, it's like 200 to 335 square feet. We can also speak about the windows, as in the basement windows will be removed and replaced with vinyl vinyl windows. That's it. Thank you. Yeah, on this slide, actually, you can see several things. First, you can see the location of these vents. As I said, on the top, this is the main facade of the of a typical. It's a typical facade. This one is, I guess, it's the building 20. Should be 26. And it's not, we do, I mean, we don't have any vent on this side, but on the back side, on the rear facade, we have these vents, and as you know, they should not be at less than 3 feet to the opening. So we are coordinating all of this with our MEP engineers to make them as discreet and possible. And yeah, as you can see on the right side, this is the brick vents layout that is a multiple of the size of a brick, basically. Yeah, as I explained, we are the plan is to salvage the maximum and to reuse the materials such as brick and roof slate. And of course, we will need, if we need more materials, we are going to match to the existing colors, and we're going to also work out with the EHD traceries and this committee to have to have your feedback about the brick and design. Final design. Okay, this is again the site plan. It shows, as you see, the bump outs on the buildings number 24, 25, and 26, the new additions. And there are altogether 18 conversions to 3 and 4 bedrooms. The plan. So on the right side, you see the plan of 3 bedrooms, and on the left side it's 4 bedrooms. Okay, this one is the building 26. We selected this facade on the rear side to show that we have 2 different type of bump outs. On the right side, as you see, we have the 2 3 bedrooms, and on the left side we have one bedroom. So it's 2 different layouts. That, but the type of I mean, the roof pitch is in the same spirit as the original design of 1938, and then also we tried to have the same type of windows and openings for the new bump house, for the new to respect the history of the site, and then also the original design of the architects. Here you can see a section, and as you see, the bump outs are only for the 2 floors and not for the basement. So yeah, that's it. So in some areas, yeah, in some areas we are gonna make some modification, probably potentially for the site to be able to. They might be on a crawl space or compacted dirt to build this bump outs. And then here you can see the openings, different types of openings. the 3 windows that we have actually on the left side that we have also on the main facade, the same type of windows, we have them. So the size and fenestration pattern match the existing. The semicircular attic vent, it is typical in this section and in some other sections actually of Barcroft. This is we are using the same thing again to have the same appearance. And then the roof pitch, as I said, is comparable and compatible with the rest of the buildings. Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody. That concludes our presentation. I'll hand it back to Cynthia and Serena to start the discussion.
Great. Thank you, Lauren. And thank you to everyone on the team for your input. And in terms of what we wanted to discuss with DRC tonight, I think we're looking at 3 main discussion points for you all to help guide the conversation. And of course, if there are other aspects that you have questions about, we realize this is a lot of information. This is the first time you're all hearing about this, so I want to make sure that we have time, Omari and Rebecca, to address any other areas beyond these that you might have questions about. So in terms of the 3 topics that we thought we could go over this evening, one would be to discuss the overall massing and compatibility of the proposed additions to the rear. Secondly, to look at big picture materials, pretty much is everyone comfortable with the new additions being all brick, for example? And then thirdly, we wanted to just do a check-in on the windows, particularly on the additions, given that there is a large quantity of them proposed, as well as various configurations and fenestration patterns. So we wanted to get your opinion on that so you could give some guidance to the applicant team to consider as they continue to refine their design. So if that sounds like a good approach, Omari, we can go ahead and talk about, I guess, DRC's overall reactions to the massing and how you're feeling about the scale, the size, et cetera, of the proposed bump outs.
Sure thing. Thanks, Cynthia. I think that the bump outs are scaled pretty well. I mean, I guess one positive thing, I suppose, that the bump outs are all on the rear side of the building. So I mean, so more public sort of right away side, has no bump out. So that's positive. And also they maintained it such that the bump outs ridge lines are all lower than the current ridge lines part of the building. But I think in general the massing makes pretty good sense. I mean, it doesn't necessarily overwhelm the massing anywhere, and it's sort of in line. I mean, it's obviously not sort of as long as like proportionally, I suppose, sort of the projection is not quite as it's not. It doesn't sort of speak to what they might have done, originally with the building, but also given the fact that there's parking and trees and landscaping all around, I think that the size of the bump outs makes a pretty good sense in general.
I would agree with that. I appreciate that the additions are to the rear and not visible from the front and the right of way. And then same comment as Omari, that the ridge lines all seem appropriate and the massing makes sense to me.
Mr. Dudka, he and I spoke about it earlier this afternoon. He had just one question really. In addition to, he thought that the way you'd set up the additions was a good idea to stagger it so it didn't seem very bulky. But he did have a question about so the plans that we were reviewing are different from these. Maybe building 25. Do you have those? Because there was the smaller part of the addition had a 2 brick thickness capping, which looked a little bit out of line with the shed walls. And we were wondering why you chose to do that brick detail.
I think Alice is going to bring up the DRC submission to show you building 25. We had only included building 26 as a typical here just for brevity's sake. So we'll bring that up and then we can discuss that a little bit further.
And it also looked like the additions, the new brick has a horizontal running bond of like 2 lines of brickwork separating the floors, right? Okay. Is that as part of the differentiation of the new construction or just a design choice?
Actually, this is a part of the design to differentiate it with the existing, basically.
So yes, this, you pulled up exactly the right sheet. He was wondering why this double brick cap on the top. It kind of appears like the front of a townhouse, and it doesn't really fit with the rest of the design.
Yeah, that is if you're referring to those areas next to, I mean, with the notes 17 and 11, we wanted to make, this is this mass, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Well, this is exactly the bedrooms in these units, and we tried to show to differentiate it from the exterior with the rest of the the mass, so make it it's like an architectural choice basically, to make a different mass with probably a lighter color of brick, but the color has not been chosen. So the rest of them they have the same color and mortar, but this one is a little bit lighter.
Okay, so
it's an architectural choice basically.
So that like the coloring of the elevation reflects that the brick will be a slightly different color, but it will still be brick.
That's correct.
Okay, so where the roof line hits the that like flat bedroom addition, so the water, how is it being moved off the intersection of those roof lines?
Yeah. Well, we have not gone to that detail. We can, for now, this is like a design, but certainly there are ways to control the rainwater in that area too.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so
sure.
Just thought that maybe having the bottom or the top of the roof line of the flat roof flush with the end of the gable coming off the main part of the addition might look a little more cohesive, but I also see that it appears to be flush with the height of the main building in the rear.
Well, what I can say is that certainly there will be a gutter on the back side of this that can, take the water and, take it to another downspout, and elsewhere. But this parapet wall, for now on the design, we can see that it joins that, roof in sloped,
Could I interject with a question? I just want to clarify one thing, and perhaps Alice or Mehrdad would be the person to answer this, but could you explain to the DRC, the internal layout of these spaces, where there's going to be bedrooms, where there's going to be living rooms, and the rationale for that? I just want to make sure the DRC members have the context.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go ahead, Mehrdad. Just give you a break. So in this is the original part of the building that's remaining. And the additions will have, in the 3-bedroom unit, it'll have just the living room within the addition. And in the 4-bedroom unit, it'll have the living room, but also a bedroom within the addition.
Correct.
And then do you want to go over how many total 3-bedroom and 4-bedrooms there will be?
14 total 3-bedrooms like this, and 4 total 4-bedrooms. The 4 bedrooms are all in building 25, where we were looking at the different color brick kind of tower. So those 2 bump outs, those 2 additions with 2 each are the 4 4-bedroom locations. Buildings 24 and 26 only have 3-bedroom additions, and building 25 has 4 3-bedrooms as well.
Thank you, Alice. That was very helpful. I want to ask DRC, do you have any other questions or design comments that you want to share with the team regarding either the placement of bump outs, the massing? It sounds like everyone seems pretty comfortable so far.
Yeah, I would say so. As far as the massing goes, yes. And
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay, great. So the next, we just wanted to touch upon materials. And I don't know, are you in the driver's seat, Alice? Are you controlling the slides?
I am, yeah.
Okay, so I think it was the previous image that you had up that was showing, it was either building 25 or 26, where we were talking about the gabled addition and then like kind of the flat roof section next to it.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know why I'm having a technical
That's
error.
okay,
but
take your time.
Let me pull it right back up. Sorry about that.
So the point I think I wanted to make here, I think someone had mentioned it just a few minutes ago, that there was consideration for the 2-story flat roof section where the bedroom areas are going to be, would potentially be a different color than the mass of the gable roofed addition. And so we wanted to get DRC's opinion on that. If you felt brick was the appropriate material to use, it's almost kind of like an extension of the addition. If you thought that was an acceptable material, and if you had any strong thoughts or opinions on whether or not to help break up the massing, that flat roof section could indeed perhaps be a different color brick to help again differentiate old and new, but also to bring some distinction between the flat roof and the gable roof section.
for the flat roof section, I think it's probably. I mean, I guess I'll probably sort of throw out 2 ideas here. I think it's probably fine, this brick, but in a way, I kind of want to see it. I mean, maybe it's not. I kind of want to see it rendered at least as if the flat section wasn't brick actually. Maybe like actually it's sort of I mean, hate to introduce a new material, but I think that this for a sort of design exercise, it would be nice to see how it looked if it was like some sort of siding material, because it is sort of an addition to the addition. Sort of thinking about it in a sort of like a hierarchical way.
Yeah.
It is sort of a third, sort of a third appendage on the building. And if it was something that was siding, that would be like a new sort of, it would reflect the fact that it is, in addition. So I think this sort of.
We talked about
Funny
that
you
at
should say
some
that.
stage. I was gonna say, let me pull that up for us. Give me a minute, excuse me.
Thank
There
you.
was a previous version, Omari, that had a different cladding material. So Alice is going to pull that up for us.
Oh, great.
It definitely helped differentiate, but I think from the staff side, we were concerned that it was making it too busy and introducing yet another material. But
Sure.
This is why we wanted to bring it up to discuss.
Sorry, technical.
Take your time.
There we go.
Right.
Yeah, originally we designed it with wood cladding actually, but then we were told that the historic preservation in Arlington County prefers brick, and then we were convinced that probably brick is a better material. But again, this is a good subject of discussion. We can speak about it again, because we see the difference of. I mean, it's a better design from our perspective to have it with different materials.
Right. I would kind of agree with that, honestly. I mean, I know it is introducing a new material, but I think this sort of design-wise sort of on itself. I mean, I think also speaks to the fact that the bedroom is, I mean, it is a little bit glassy too. I mean, there's a lot of glazing there, and maybe it's almost. I mean, I think the fact that it's sort of this like lighter addition on the side with it being wood, I think it sort of speaks to the fact that this addition is. It's almost more like greenhouse sort of feature attached to the addition. So I think my sort of vote right now would be for wood. I mean, maybe it's just kind of being contrarian to what's there right now, but I don't know. I think that's my current sort of feeling about that.
Omari, may I ask you one question before you chime in, Rebecca? In terms of the cladding material, because I think what's shown here, we've got some type of, looks like a vertical, like board and batten.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable with that? Do you want to see something that's horizontal, or you think this is the preferred orientation if they were to pursue this?
I would be more partial to horizontal, I think, and horizontal, and also some sort of like capping or some sort of coping at the top there. And maybe it's there, but I just can't read it in the screen. But also sort of coping at the top or capping.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's shown.
Oh, okay.
Again, this was an early design iteration, so not fully baked, but
Yeah, exactly. That was not meant to be horizontal or vertical. It was just, you know, showing another hatch to show another material, basically.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, Rebecca, do you have thoughts?
I think I disagree. I think having just one piece have a different material feels out of place when the rest of the addition is brick. I would be interested in seeing colored rendered elevations, or 3D massing, just something to show a little bit more information of what the existing material and color is, and then what the proposed material and color would be. But I think that given how much brick masonry is out there, that there are a lot of different ways that it could still be brick and be differentiated, whether it be the brick pattern or the color or some combination of both. But I think having just that small bedroom addition be another material feels out of place to me.
Okay, so I think this is helpful feedback for the team, and I feel like we might have landed on our first discussion topic for the HLRB in 2 weeks to get the full commission's opinion, since the DRC is already split. Serena, did Robert have any comments on the materials for the addition by chance?
No, he had trouble identifying what they were, and based on some notes on the first page of the document or not the first page, there were some material notes that said that everything was going to be brick. So that was the understanding that we had.
Okay.
So I don't know what he'd have on this.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you for clarifying that. Any other DRC comments on materials? We'll get to materials of windows next month. We want to focus on big picture materials for the massing and additions right now. Going once, going twice? Okay, go ahead, Omari.
Yeah, so just to verify, so that 20, that'll be an event, correct? That'll be a functioning vent, or it'll just be decorative? No 20?
Well, at this time, I would say both, basically. No, but this is actually, we thought about it, that we want to use the same semi-circular openings or another type of openings. And at the end, we use this because it's used in other buildings too. But again, we are very open to, to your feedbacks and to your suggestions too, and then we would like to work with you and with EHT's tracers to see what is the best, let's say, shape for this opening here. Because as you see this, I mean, anyway, this is, I let you to comment it.
No, I was just curious what it was. I mean, not the sizing maybe is a little big for me, but then maybe, I don't know. That's just more
yeah, we can reduce it, but is the shape good, the semicircular, because it matches, it's compatible with other attic vents.
Here
right.
we can see
You
it.
look at the pictures, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask
no,
Alice if you
sorry.
have a photo.
Yeah, so here
exactly.
you can see it, and this is building 22,
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
building
So-
23.
proportionally, we use the same size.
Oh,
you
okay.
know, but personally, I believe that it's too big.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, some reason it reads too big on the facade for whatever reason. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, even here, I think I agree. It looks big.
Exactly. Yeah. But again, we try to how can I say, to keep the continuity basically.
Sure.
You were inspired by existing and you wanted to.
Well,
I don't know if
definitely,
inspired is
you know,
right, but
when we work on the historic projects, of course, we have to keep the continuity.
Of course.
Yeah.
So just to the members of DRC, this was an aspect that the preservation staff did kind of, we had some questions about it. We know to keep the continuity, we understand why they use the shape. We too thought they were a little bit on the large side for their location in the gable. But we thought if perhaps this particular element could be considered another way to differentiate new construction from the existing historic buildings. So perhaps does it make sense to introduce another vent shape here to, to further allow that differentiation? So I don't know, Omari or Rebecca, if you had any thoughts as to should the design team explore a different shape or perhaps just play with the proportion of the vent?
The size, yes.
I would play with the proportion of the size. I don't mind it being the same shape, but I think it could be smaller.
Okay.
I would agree with that as well. Yeah, I think the shape is good, but again, the sort of the proportionality to the facade is.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Okay. So is that guidance helpful? I think we're all on the same page on that one. All right. Any other thoughts on brick before we talk about some of the windows? All right. And then in terms of windows, I think if you could go back, Alice, to no, this is a good. I think this is a good illustration. So you can see on the gable shaped addition, which includes the living rooms, if I'm getting that correctly.
Correct.
That's
and
right.
then in the 2-story flat roofed section where the bedrooms are going to be on this particular building, there are 2 different groupings of windows. You kind of have the triple with the larger center window and the 2 smaller on the end. And then you've got the triple ganged on the flat roof section. Don't know if you all have any thoughts. There's a lot of windows being introduced. And I know based on our staff conversations with the design team in the past couple of weeks, they were very intentional about thinking about interior layout as they were proposing the window openings and the fenestration patterns. But we did want to be able to give them guidance sooner rather than later as they're working on their design. So I'd like to ask DRC if you have opinions or feedback regarding the placement of the windows, the groupings of them, as well as the fenestration patterns themselves. I think you are matching, correct me if I'm wrong, for the most part, 6/6 that is found on the existing buildings. Is it more appropriate to continue that or to help differentiate? Should these be a different pattern, such as 1/1? So those are the types of feedback I think we would like to be able to share with the design team this evening.
I don't mind it being the same pattern. I think the field that it's in will differentiate it enough of what is new and what is existing. So I think having the same pattern as the existing windows will go a long way in the continuity of the building. I think the one area, and I believe Omari had a comment about it earlier on that addition, the grouping of 3 windows feels a bit heavy fenestration wise to me, especially knowing that it's a bedroom, it's not a living room. So I would question that one, or I guess just request it to be studied a little bit more. But otherwise, I think everything seems logical.
Yeah,
Rebecca, are you thinking that perhaps a 2 window configuration in that location
Yeah, either 2 or a 1. Open to either. I think it just seems, I think in the bedroom when we were looking at the plan, it was wall-to-wall window, and then a twin bed was shown inside, so it just proportionally seemed a bit off.
Okay.
And I think there is nowhere else in this building where there's a set of 3 windows. Correct me if I'm wrong.
But that's correct, actually. Yeah. But we also tried to bring more light. I mean, I agree with you that 3 windows are probably too much, but we tried to make these rooms, whether the living room or the bedroom, you know, to bring more light, because we are on the north side, and this area is very, you know, there are a lot of trees. So that was also the intention, but definitely we are happy to hear your feedback.
Yeah, I can definitely appreciate that. I think more natural light is always better.
Yeah.
I guess my question is just, given that that is the largest grouping of windows and it's a bedroom, not a living room.
Correct. Yeah. Very good. Sure.
Omari, what thoughts do you have?
I'll kind of echo what Rebecca said as well. I also kind of question sort of the amount of glazing in the bedroom. It just seems like it's a lot for that particular sort of addition space there. But I mean, but obviously I do understand that, you know, the idea about it being on the north side. But I would again sort of study sort of maybe the 3 windows. Maybe it could be 2. Maybe it could be different grouping there. But that's my only real sort of I guess concern about that. And I would say too that, I mean, I would say too, I think that if it's with it being, I mean, if sort of the addition ends up being brick, I feel like it should be a little bit more massy as well. I think that if it were to be sort of like this wooden addition, I think it would lend itself, at least looks wise, to be more sort of glassy as well. So I mean that sort of plays into materiality conversation as well. But this in general, I would say
Okay.
glass.
Yeah.
And are you feeling comfortable, Omari, with the 6/6 pattern?
The pattern, I'm feeling comfortable with that. Yeah.
Okay.
That sort of continuity actually is a nice touch.
Okay.
So in case we go with 2 windows, do you agree that we remove the middle window, because, you know, that's going to be like an interval of more logical interval?
I would, if you were gonna, yeah, I would say that, or like maybe remove that one, or maybe, you know, maybe push the 2 that are there closer together. That's not really sure what the correct answer is, but yeah, I think that's a good starting point though. Just remove that middle window first and kind of go from there.
Okay.
I start my sort of studies there, but yeah, that's the logical place to begin. I would agree with that.
Yeah, I would even question for the study doing 1 centered in it. I know that there are some larger windows next to it, but that size and proportion within the field could be appropriate, but we'll defer to your study.
Okay. Good.
Okay, I'll ask Serena, did Robert have any comments or concerns about windows that he shared with you?
No.
No? Okay, so those were the 3 things that we wanted to touch base so we could be sure to give the applicant sufficient guidance. Are there other items based on the presentation that you heard from the applicant team tonight that the DRC wanted to comment on or ask about?
Just a question. Will existing, I guess, chimney, will it remain? I guess, given that the boiler will be gone, or will it be taken down, or will it remain, or what's the plan for that chimney?
Yeah, we have no plans to remove the chimneys, just the boilers themselves, so that those will remain.
Any other questions, Rebecca?
No, thanks.
Okay, so I hope that gave the design team some sufficient guidance. So I feel like we have a few areas that we'll go through just so everyone knows what to expect for the HLRB meeting in 2 weeks. A lot of the same background information to get everyone up to speed, just like was given to you all at the beginning of this item tonight. And then we'll focus on those main topic areas. But I think the main points of conversation for the full board will be the materiality then of the additions and whether or not it should be brick or if we should introduce another material. And then also the configuration of the windows within the bedroom addition sections. Did I capture that accurately?
Oh, one other question though. When will you find out whether or not I guess you have to do the addition, I guess, of the covered entrances and also I guess cladding the existing wood with a vinyl. That's when sort of in the process we know that answer from I guess the state action.
It's a good question.
Unfortunately, we don't expect that answer until I would say early August at the soonest, at the earliest. Sorry, but obviously, if we get a chance to pose the question sooner, we will. But right now, based on our submission schedule and our understanding of the architectural review process, it'll be about a month after we submit in July, so early August.
Yeah. And just to follow up on that too, with the form-based code use permit, there will be certain conditions that are tied to that use permit, and plating staff might have options for what we are to do if the exemption is granted or not. So there will be some follow-up there.
Yeah, if it's any reassurance to DRC, I do know that the applicant, they have already started thinking through options for how to address the canopies in the event that the exemption is not approved. So we can get into those details at a later date if necessary. But I know they are already thinking about it.
Thanks.
Any other questions either from GRC or from the applicant team?
I don't think we have anything. Thank you all for your time. We really appreciate it. Thank you for the feedback.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Look forward to talking
Thank
more
you.
soon.
Yes,
Thank
of
you.
course.
Thank you.
We'll see you all later.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Good night.
Good night.